everybody, it's Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario. Today, August 29th, Friday, August 29th. Summer's over. I think it's been a shit summer. I don't know. I didn't like the weather, the air, everything sucked. Maybe my personal life too, who knows. But it's almost over, so that's all that matters. Long weekend this weekend, and hopefully everybody has a nice weekend. Just had some technical difficulties tonight. Holy shit. So the big stories I saw on the X today, my X feed, was a bunch of well-armed Indians shooting a bunch of guns in McTier, which is up in cottage country. They left a big mess and pissed off a bunch of people, obviously. And then it's kind of crazy how many guns they had too. And it's like, who drives around with all those guns? And there's been other videos in in Ontario and BC too, of Indians going all Rambo style in the woods. It kind of makes you wonder, why the hell do they have all these guns? What are they planning? And I guess it's all sorts of Indian politics stuff. That's what the guns are going to be for. Who knows? And then Quebec is making the news. They want to ban public prayers. Hey, how's it going? Donnie. Holy shit, I haven't heard from him in a while. How do you get those guns? I don't know. They're well armed. I think they're more well armed, better armed than the army, the Canadian Army. Maybe they're taking over. So, anyway, yeah, they were making the news, and then Quebec wants to ban public prayers. We talked about this a lot, how they pray all the time in the street, and it's because when they came here to Canada, nobody told them, yeah, we don't do that here. Nobody had the guts to tell them. So now Quebec's looking how to get, to tamp down on the problem, which has been made worse with all the years of Palestinian protests in Montreal and Ontario and all that. And they incorporate the praying with the protests, it's kind of bullshit. They don't need to do that. So we'll talk about that. And then just the general immigration file. There's always stories there, including Pierre, again, trying to sound as anti-immigrant as possible every day. But the internet never forgets, so people keep throwing all those videos of him wearing the burqa on his comment section. They won't ever let him forget. And then, yeah, that's it. So, let's get to it. Donnie, I haven't seen him in a while. He's still in the army. I don't want to get him in trouble. So, but yeah, those Indian guys, I think they had more guns than like a regiment going there. Okay. So let's look at this story here. You could judge for yourself what you guys think of these Rambo wannabes. And there's a lot of facets to the story. The first facet's the kind of the environmental, the nature facet of it, or the aspect of it. And then the other one is the kind of the gun control aspect, at a time when the government's grabbing legal gun owners, going after legal gun owners instead of like the gangbangers and the smugglers. And then you see them with all these firearm violations on camera and barely a peep out of the government. And then the third is the political aspect, like how these Indian dudes who are openly calling for insurrection against India, causing Canada all sorts of headaches, barely a whimper or barely a touch from our government. Oh, maybe the OPP will look into it. And the hypocrisy is, if these were a bunch of white dudes in the woods with an arsenal, lighting up the forest, and then filming and put it on YouTube, they'd have like CSIS, RCMP, all sorts of people on their ass. So I'm pretty sure, like the Coots guys, I don't even think the Coots guys had that many guns. All right. Let's look at these guys. All right. Almost there. Almost there. Here they are. Here's a Rambo. Rambo Indian style. So they're on a bridge in McTier, which is up by Georgian Bay. I don't know. It's in cottage country anyway. And they're just going all nuts. I don't know why they're doing this. So here, Rational Post talking about the hypocrisy. Imagine if how social media would be lit up. Corporate media, hysteria, gun control groups, political apparatchiks posting virtue signaling sound bites for the stenographers, like the end for sure. Police resources to arrest them. RCMP investigation. If they were white Canadians like the Coots 4. But are these invaders going to be called a Sing 5? No. You know, what they did with the Coots 4 is horrible, and these guys have more guns. And I think they actually are planning some something nefarious. Like, these guys aren't just playing around with guns. Right. So it's ridiculous, like just the lack of response. And yeah, same with the fisheries guys. You kill a skunk or you catch a fish without a license, they take your car here. But these guys do whatever they want. It's weird. It's like they're afraid of doing their job because they don't want to look racist. And, you know, if these guys didn't film it, the cops wouldn't do anything, even if the people complained. Okay. I have video of it, though. Oh, here we go. So this is the video they made. Like, this isn't Iraq here. This is Muskoka. This is a different video, actually. But this is a different video. This is out near... Okay, this is McTier, okay. These guys are gun nuts, jeez. And no arrests yet. Like this, last time I checked, this isn't it's not a firing range. It's a bridge. And then they left all their shit there. There's video of them, of the lady who lives there came and took a video of all the shit that they left behind. So I was like, what are these Indian dudes planning? If these were white guys, CSIS and RCMP would be all over that shit. For sure. For sure. Ridiculous. Okay. Next. Here's a video of them again. And they got their own music for it. Perfect.
Grok was pulled from Twitter, from X, whatever, because...
Okay, So it says here, the man in this clip fires a prohibited Norinco Type 81. I don't know. I'm not a gun guy, so with an illegal magazine, I counted at least 12 rounds fired. Semi-automatic centerfire rifles are restricted to 5-round magazines. So, yeah, it was basically at a time when our government is ready to go after gun owners and, you know, law-abiding gun owners. These guys are running around like it's ridiculous. And I wonder if it's near Doug Ford's cottage. Maybe they should use his cottage for some target practice. Okay. And it says here, Ontario Provincial Police and Bracebridge say they're actively investigating viral videos that show several men firing guns off a bridge. Well, that's nice. Yeah, are those type of guns legal? Well, like I just said, one guy is saying that it was a 12-round clip, and it's only 5 rounds legal. I don't know. I'm not a gun guy, but I've heard people have said that some of these guns aren't, they're prohibited. Even if they're not prohibited, sitting on a bridge in the middle of cottage country firing guns off is not cool for the environment, not cool for, I guess you're not supposed to fire lead-based ammo into the water too. They did that. So OPP actively investigating viral videos that show several men firing guns off a bridge. They're aware of the videos circulating online that show individuals discharging firearms in a careless and unsafe manner. Okay, careless and unsafe manner. We are actively investigating and closely monitoring the area. So, yeah, that's what you get, okay? When a bunch of Indian terrorists shoot up a area up in cottage country, you get a actively investigating email from the police. But like I said, if it was a bunch of white nationalists, they'd have the RCMP and CSIS doing full investigation. The difference is the white nationalists would have like a proper firing range. Okay. There's this video of this girl. This woman took a video of the after they left. I want to find it here. I hope I can find it. It's weird how things disappear on the X. No big deal if I can't find it. Okay, I don't know where it went. But anyway, yeah, they made it like left a whole mess behind and everything. So it's just that's what you're gonna get. That's how they treat the land. That's how they treat the law. I don't know what the hell they're doing with all those guns. Yeah, machine guns out in the woods. I mean, we're a joke of a country to let this happen. They already blew up a plane, these guys, and we're gonna let them build an army on Canadian soil. It's such a joke. Such a joke. Okay, next subject. We're gonna go to the praying in public. And I was kind of wondering, what the hell is this praying in public? Because, like, what, you're not allowed to pray in public. But what they're talking about is, like, when the Muslim people do all this praying, because they have all sorts of rules. They have to pray so many times a day, a certain direction. I don't know. But anyway, and they've been pushing it a lot since October 7th in the Palestinian in the Gaza war and the Palestinian protests. So they've been pushing it a lot. incorporating the prayers with the protests. And also the Shia Muslims, which are a different kind of branch of the other Muslim, they like to do this festival where they whip themselves in public. It's weird. And so yeah, Quebec, and it's kind of annoying because like they block traffic and it's weird. Like you don't want, like we're not a religious country in the sense like that we do it in the middle of the square. So they're trying to get rid of it. But I already said this, like, where is it here? See, my timeline's all screwed up here. I already said this, like, if the, you know, when Muslims come to Canada, if they're told, okay, this is how we do things here in Canada. It's like we don't be praying on the street in public, blocking the road. You're gonna have to get used to dogs because people like dogs and all this. You can't complain about the smell of bacon, all that. If they got to be told that from the start, okay, and then you don't have the problems. We don't have the You don't have the problems as long as you lay out the rules ahead of time. But the way it works in Canada is you get these people coming from different cultures, whether it's a Muslims or from India or from Africa, and they're saying, do whatever you want. You bring whatever customs and whatever you want to do. So it just gets to the point where it's not compatible. Like you can't accommodate, and this is a good example. So I think they could have, they wouldn't have needed a law if our leaders would have done the job and told them like this is the way it is here, and you know, you're constantly trying to accommodate them. What happens is you basically destroying the country. All right, I'm trying to find this. But like, there's a reason there's churches and they have properties because they have events. Yeah, they have events on that property. They have their mass on the property. Even like the evangelicals, they're like they have the musicians and all sorts of guys. They have it like they don't do it in the middle of Toronto. They have their own venue. They have their thing and they do it. And for the life of me, I don't know why we're letting them do it. Like they can go to their mosque, have their Friday prayers or whatever, and I have no idea. It's like I said, it's our leaders' faults because they need to, you know, do their job and lay very basic ground rules. Yes, I agree. If we, you wouldn't go to another country and expect them to totally rearrange the society. Like if a Muslim, like a devout Muslim comes here, they're basically saying no bacon. We don't want to see any bacon anywhere. And it's like, that's like in every restaurant. We don't want to see no women. Women probably should cover up more, but not head to toe like them. So they don't want dogs. They get rid of dogs. They want all their meat halal. They want the praying, washing your feet and whatever. I don't know. It's just not compatible. Not compatible. Okay. What's going on here? Okay, here we go. Sorry. So that's where we are. And so far it's only Quebec doing it. I said you don't even need the province. Just the government, the city could just do their bylaw and say, hey, can't block the street. If you want to go pray, go to your mosque or rent to somewhere. They won't do it though. No, they won't. Quebec is the only one though. Okay. I'm trying to find some of this weird. Okay. How come Quebec is the only province with the balls and will ban this from happening? Go back to your mosque. Yes. So basically, this kind of stuff started with the Palestinian protests, and all the police had to do was they incorporated the prayer stuff into their protests, and all the police had to do was say, "Look, you can have your protest, but no blocking the street with this praying stuff, or we're gonna start arresting people." But the police didn't do that. They didn't do their job. So first, the politicians didn't do their job when all these people immigrated here, and they were basically let alone to do whatever they wanted. And now the police aren't doing their job at the protests. So now the province is going to come in and try to legislate it. But like I said, if they did their job in the first place and kind of laid out the ground rules. Okay. All right. What's this one? Quebec government says it's planning to ban prayer in public places as part of a move to strengthen secularism in the province. I just want to see what they say here. Okay. Planning to ban prayer in public places. They have a secularism minister? That's weird. The move comes amid simmering tension in Quebec over Muslim prayers taking place as part of pro-Palestinian demonstrations, including in front of Notre Dame Basilica. The rise of street prayers is a serious and sensitive issue in Quebec. Last December, our government expressed its unease with this growing phenomenon, particularly in Montreal. He did not say if they'd use the notwithstanding clause to override certain sections of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He will, for sure. Seeing people on their knees in the streets praying, I think we have to ask ourselves a question. I don't think it's something we should see, he said. Okay. Yeah. It's hard to stop stuff like that when it started, like when they've been doing it for years. Like they have that festival, this Sharia thing. It's where they whip themselves. You've seen videos of it. And once they start doing that, it's hard to get them to stop. But that's why you're supposed to tell them at the start, yeah, don't do that. Okay. So yeah, that's the story in Quebec. We'll follow that, but I didn't think you needed the provincial government to come in. I think if the police and the cities did their job and work with the protesters and say, the praying thing isn't going to happen, isn't cool, and if they don't do it, if they don't comply, then you can say, hey, what are our options? Should we go get legislation or this, that? But the key is when they come to the country and you lay down the ground rules. Say, this is how we do the church thing here. We do it at the church, not in the street. And when you don't do that at the start, it causes all these problems. So, gotta unwind all that shit. All right. The next topic is the third world immigration file. We always leave that for last. Okay. Oh, this is a funny thing. It's this Crime Reports India. It's an account I follow. I thought it's kind of interesting since we're turning into India. It's always good to get a lowdown on the mother country. So apparently in Uttar Pradesh, which there's a few of them in Sarnia from this area. Female dancers have to perform in cages to be safe from perverted. Let's see this. So that's the club. That's the nightclub. The girls go in the cage. Okay. All right. Into the cage you go. All right, guys. This is crazy. All right. Crown Royal bottler. Yeah, I saw that. We're losing a bottling plant going to the U.S. Good job, Doug Ford. Here's Tim Hortons to offer electric vehicle charging stations at 100 locations so you can get hepatitis A and charge your car at the same time. Awesome. Next. The new Canadians from India don't give a shit about your history or culture and refuse to integrate. They just want to extract as much as they can from Canada with as little effort as possible, and we're letting them do it. They must all be sent back. Yeah, it's true. It looks like they're just coming for the goods. Like Don Cherry said, the milk and the honey. Next post. Here, asylum applications nearing a total of 290,000. So basically, that's the backlog is 290,000. In Canada, that's a lot. And the thing is, there's always coming in new ones. So every time they resolve cases, there's more new ones in the queue. So asylum applications nearing a total of 290,000. India now accounts for the highest number of pending refugee claims in Canada. So soon as see a man. So not only do they, when it comes to permanent residents, it's always India. 45% of the 40% of the amount of person residents granted permanent residence, India. Student visas, India. Temporary workers, India. Now it's refugees, India. I don't know how that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So basically, it's all the student visas that don't want to go back to the village. Don't send me back. I'm a refugee. They're going to have to do something about it. It's 300,000. It's way too high. And that's just the backlog. Like I said, every case that gets resolved, there's probably 10 new ones in the queue. How the hell is India? I didn't know India was at war. Asylum. They could just say India is such a shithole. It's like I will die if I go back. Asylum. I want to see what the percentage is. Oh, for paid subscribers or Juno. Anyway, they're gonna have to close that loophole with the refugee because basically, what the refugee, the consultant will tell them is you'll be in the system for years, but have a few babies and you'll be good. So they have their refugees, and by the time their thing comes up, they have babies, and sometimes they get deported with the babies, but it's very rare, I think. Okay. Here's somebody calling Pierre a nationalist. I always think that's funny. He's been all anti-immigrant lately, but I don't buy it at all because, like, he was literally saying the opposite. But listen how he describes Canada. He's very picky about his words.
And then not only do you enjoy that promise.
Question for you is just, what does it mean to be Canadian?
So to me, to be a Canadian is to aspire, to share in the same promise. The promise that this country made every single one of us. You work hard, you get a great life, you get to have a nice house in a safe street. And then not only do you enjoy that promise, but you have to protect it. Sometimes that means taking arms to fight a war, as our ancestors and more recently our more recent veterans did. Sometimes it just means fighting for changes that preserve the promise through the political system. Sometimes it just means doing your job as a good law-abiding Canadian. But that to me is the thing that is unifying and special about this country. It's a meritocracy where you're judged not by where you come from, but by how hard you work and what you can
There you go. There's your globalist peer. Doesn't matter where you come from.
We are prepared to fight for that and defend it. That we have a common identity, and that identity is rule of law, Western freedoms. Government is servant, not master. The British common law system. Those are our basic pillars of our identity, and they uphold the promise that I described at the outset. I like to say, Trudeau was a post-nationalist. Carney calls himself a globalist. Trump is a protectionist. I'm a Canadian nationalist. Canada first. We should put our own country first in everything we do, whether it's foreign policy, immigration, trade, economics. We should put Canada and its people first. And that is a big distinction from the globalist and post-nationalist view that Liberals have imposed with great devastation over the last decade.
Yeah. So he's trying to thread that needle. Like he wants to say he's not a Liberal, but he's trying to say, like he's trying to please everybody. He's basically saying, anybody from anywhere can be anything in Canada, but at the same time he's saying I'm not a globalist. So I think it's a weak answer, but he's not a nationalist, guys, don't worry. This is funny. Doug Ford commenting the other day, these guys in Kitchener were robbing a liquor store, these Indian dudes, and Doug Ford rips into the culprits in the Kitchener liquor heist. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, Doug Ford shouldn't comment on anything because he helped destroy Ontario. He helped bring all this huge, crazy immigration growth into Ontario without a plan to handle it. And lots of people from third world shitholes giving us third world problems, including the recent phenomenon of liquor store cleanouts here. So for him to comment is kind of weak because he's kind of helped create all these problems, and he's premier. It's happening under his watch, and he just he gives these folksy comments, but he doesn't do anything. Let's see.
It's out of control. We got to get tough on this crime. People are fed up, and I'm wishing all the best for our friend in Lindsay. I don't know who it was.
So the guy in charge of the province and who has majority says we got to get tough on crime. Oh my God.
But people are at their peak with this violence. I mean, with the violence, but the criminality, and they're just at their wits' end. That the judges keep letting people out on bail. So we're going to hold these guys accountable, and I will be all over the Prime Minister about bail reform. So thank you.
Yeah, I bet you will. You've been there 8 years and you haven't said shit about bail reform, or you haven't done shit about it. So what do you say?
And with back to school just days away, and Toronto Public Health.
Sorry. He goes, Doug Ford was asked about the theft at a local LCBO and called those responsible a brazen bunch of cooks. We got to catch these guys and throw them in jail. Ford said, no, we got to deport them, Doug. You fat pig. We got to deport them. The guys you brought in, they probably voted for you. Because these Indians, they vote in a block. They all vote. They have a very high turnout. So even if these guys got a mail-in and all they do is sign their name, they probably voted for Doug. Okay. So yeah, like I said, Doug's causes a lot of these problems in Ontario. He's been premier for 8 years. So for him to comment on this stuff, it's ridiculous. Like he's not in charge of anything. So Doug Ford helped turn Ontario into a third world shithole, so he should shut his mouth on this topic. I'm sure these guys voted for that fat traitor. I'm sure they did. Okay. Ooh. Man wanted after allegedly groping male youth at Niagara Falls Shopping Center. We got to deport this guy for sure. Look at this dude. Come on, internet. Man arrested after. Oh, they arrested him. Okay. Look at this dude. He groped a young male youth at a popular Niagara Falls shopping center. 26-year-old Bertan Isik was apprehended hours after they issued a news release. Okay. Boy was shopping with his mother when he was groped by an unknown adult male. Suspect ran for the... That's whack. You can't even, I have kids. You can't even take your kids out without worrying about them getting molested in Canada now. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It really is. I literally have to worry. Is my kid going to get molested? If I go to the mall, it's ridiculous. Okay. See, I heard on the local radio today, in my city of Sarnia here, they said we have more students. The school board has the enrollment's higher this year, and I was like, we're not making more babies in Sarnia. Our population's shrinking. So how the hell we got more students? So my guess is it's probably like we've had a stream of immigrants coming into Sarnia from I don't know where, but anyway. I can see them contributing to the increase in enrollment. And the reason I'm talking about this is because in Toronto, they've been dumping these kids into the school system. And it's getting crazy because a lot of them don't even speak English. And they have no idea that some of them haven't even ever been in a classroom. So these poor teachers, they have a hard enough time. They have to deal with the regular workload, then they have to all this dumped on them. So if this is starting to happen in Sarnia, I'm gonna, it's annoying because you want your kid to have an education, and your kid's not gonna get an education if its system's being overwhelmed. So I thought that was interesting. I don't think it's as bad as Toronto. I know Toronto is having a lot of problems because that's what they do. They want to break the system. They just dump people in and okay. Look at this. Barrie, Ontario. Jameel Johnson was sentenced to 7 years for his role in a 2017 home invasion where a 6-year-old man was shot. In 2015, he's charged for an armed robbery. In 2024, he's charged for carjacking. Holy shit, man. Well, if this guy was not a citizen, we should deport his ass. Or at least keep him in jail. And there's Pierre. This is an oldie, but a goodie. Let's see. So Pierre's trying to come about all this as like totally anti-immigrant, and I think it's totally disingenuine, whatever. Because he had years and years he didn't say shit about it. And he did stuff like this. I don't know who his advisor was, but he was really going for that Indian vote. And now he's like totally opposite. He's like, deport. So forgive me, I don't know what to believe with this guy, So listen to him here.
Centers, driving truck.
He's saying, he literally just said this week about how the young people can't get jobs because of temporary foreign workers. And then this is him not too long ago telling Indian student visa holders that he wants them to stay and work.
Students to get better, accurate, real admission letters in the beginning. And then we wouldn't be in this mess here today. And then 4 years later, they come along and say that that the Trudeau government is going to kick the students out of Canada. The solution is obvious. End the deportations, allow everyone who applied honestly but who was defrauded to continue to keep their work or study permit, and allow them to apply just like everyone else to become permanent residents. That's what I'm calling for. Stop the deportations.
Stop the deportations. Direct
Listen, we
flights.
have
Direct
a
flights to
worker shortage
Emerson.
in Canada. We have a demographic problem. Our population is too old. We need 700 young people. We need 700 young people to work in our factories, in our hospitals, in our shopping centers, driving truck, being accountants, lawyers, doctors. We need these workers in our country. It makes no sense for Canada to send them back when they could stay here and earn powerful paychecks and raise their families in peace. So, shame on Justin Trudeau for trying to deport these wonderful students. Stop the deportations. Keep the students here. Allow them to apply just like everyone else for permanent residency. The Conservatives will continue to fight for the students. The letters on the...
All right, so there you go. That's the peer. Which peer are you getting? Depends on what the polls say, I guess. Depends on what the polls tell them. Okay. Okay, I saw this post. This is by Kirk Lubimov. It says, most Canadians don't understand how augmented the future of Canada society would be, so let me explain. It takes years to go through immigration paperwork and even longer to actually deport someone. And besides filling up the country with people who should never be here with student visas, TFW, LMI scams. In the meantime, these foreigners have kids at the expense of Canadian taxpayers, and we have pregnant illegals cross over to have babies. So Canada's built in future services obligations to the tune of billions to shadow citizens, people who haven't contributed one net cent to Canada, because we let people who have never contributed to Canada have kids here and arbitrarily reward them with citizenship. Yeah, he's talking about like anchor babies and just, you know, convenient births on Canadian soil. So yeah, we got so many problems. But the thing is this immigration ship is going to be hard to turn around. Like he's saying, it takes years to do the paperwork and deport. And so it's kind of like a oil tanker, super tanker. It doesn't turn around on a dime. It's going to be hard, very difficult, very big problem. And I think they planned it that way. They said, let's flood it with immigrants. And by the time they figure it out, it'll be so hard to fix. It'll be a mess. It's like a big mess. All right. Next. This is crazy. Scarborough. This is kind of a warning sign for society. So apparently there was a shooting in Scarborough Town Center, which I've been to. Haven't been there in years, but I've been there. Two 17-year-olds were charged with the shooting death of another 17-year-old that took place at the mall. Oh no, a 19-year-old. So, you know, the 19-year-old was an immigrant from... or his parents were immigrants from Sri Lanka. I think he was too, but anyway, I don't know what the deal is, if he was just an innocent bystander or if he did something to piss him off. But anyway, these 17-year-olds, young scholars, we won't know who they are because of the Young Offenders Act. But, you know, who knows if they're Canadian or not. Regardless, even if they're Canadian, it's still a bad signal for Canadian society where teenagers are shooting teenagers in the middle of a big shopping mall. It's bad. It's bad. And there's Polyev in Brampton, of all places, and he says anybody who commits a crime in Canada is not a citizen or permanent resident, must be deported. So he said that in Brampton. I'm like, I mean, that's good. He should have been saying this a long time ago. I mean, but he makes noise on this too, like, because this is low-hanging fruit. Like, it's the legal immigration that is going to be hard, that he supports. Like, he's been talking about getting tough on like deporting these guys or slowing down immigration until housing catches up. But, you know, I mean, it sounds good, but it doesn't matter anyway. There's not going to be an election for 3 years anyway, so. Okay. All right. Brampton man. Brampton man strikes again. This one's an interesting Brampton story. And this shows how screwed Canada is. So a Brampton man is deported from the U.S. after NASA detects drone activity near Cape Canaveral. So apparently he was doing video and stuff of U.S. military stuff. So they say, and they said, see you later. They're lucky that's all they did. They're lucky they didn't put him in Guantanamo. But anyway, his name is Xiao Yang Pan. He's probably a Chinese spy, but anyway, he's from Brampton, and he got deported because they thought he was a spy. I thought that was funny. It's like Brampton. I'm sure it was just a big misunderstanding. All right. I saw this. Alexander Brown, this is a Doug Ford quote. Yes, this was a real quote. Mentioned, you shouldn't respect nor care if they dislike you. Think this is all hunky-dory. It's not. Decline is a choice. Passport or no passport, let's continue bringing people in. Doug Ford at May 11, 2023 press conference. I don't know what context he would say that, but he's a dummy, so I could see him saying that. All right. And there's Tommy Robinson. He's doing a big anti-immigrant rally in the UK in 2 weeks. And we'll see how that turns out. I don't like him because he focuses only on Muslims. It's like he really hates Muslims, and because he's paid to by the Jews. And it distorts the whole message because we got to get rid of all of them, not just the Muslims. And he just wants to get rid of the Muslims. So I don't trust him. I think he's a grifter. So apparently here he's asking for more. They're short money for their demo. I guess there's one in Canada July 13th or September 13th to coincide with it. I don't know how much participation it's going to get. We'll see. But yeah, let's see it. Look at this guy.
Meeting today, because at our meeting today, now we have 2 weeks to go, roughly, yeah, and we're still £27,000 short before our meeting today. Because at our meeting today, this week again, we've got another road closure. We need another Arctic lorry, and we've doubled the size of the stage. Once we found out that we had a minimum of 50 New Zealand Maori coming to do the haka, they simply wouldn't have fit on the stage. We've made the stage bigger. So at present, we still owe £27,000.
This is crazy.
Oh, no.
Now we have 2 weeks to go, roughly.
So, yeah, the reason I see this is because I see this in Canada, too. So there's a lot of people who are against turning Canada into a third world country, like I am. But they only focus on Muslims. And they ignore the millions of Indians coming and a bunch of Africans coming. But they're solely focused on the Muslims, it's particularly these Palestinian protests. And the reason they do is because I think they're taking the shekels, you know, like it's financially advantageous for them to only focus on Muslims. And that's what Tommy does. He only focuses on Muslims. And I think we got to focus on all of them because we don't want the country to be overrun. I mean, like, we don't have enough housing, doctors as it is, and the main driver is from India, not from Muslims, for population, for immigration. So it's disingenuous, I think, when they just totally ignore a huge portion of the immigration demographic, because you know. They're just liars. They're being dishonest with their followers. So, all right, that's it for tonight. Hopefully everybody has a nice long weekend. We'll see what happens. I might not be here tomorrow. I'm thinking of going to Toronto to see how shitty it is in person. So if I'm not here tomorrow, I'll be here Sunday, August 31st, to see off the final episode of the summer. So until then, have a nice night. Stay cool.